Hey, how you doing? Welcome on in to another edition of Classics with Kasper. Well, by now you've probably heard the amazing news that the Big Sky Conference has partnered with ESPN on its future media rights. What a great day here at the world headquarters of the Big Sky Conference as we team with the worldwide leader in sports. Now, the Big Sky Conference hasn't done a lot with ESPN over the years, but we do have a rich history with the network. Several former Big Sky Conference student athletes have been talent on ESPN throughout the years. You may remember a guy named Craig Kilborn, who was one of the most popular anchors on SportsCenter from 1993 to 1996. Did you know that Craig played basketball at Montana State and used to joke on air that he led the Big Sky Conference in turnovers? Craig went on to be the first host of The Daily Show before Jon Stewart, and then had a late night talk show on CBS called The Late Late Show. You may even remember him from a great movie called Old School with Will Ferrell. From 1996 to 2017, former Idaho State Bengal football player Merrill Hodge was a talking head on ESPN for many of its NFL shows. Three-time Super Bowl champion Mark Schlereth, who played for the Idaho Vandals, was also instrumental in ESPN's NFL coverage for many years on NFL Live and SportsCenter. Controversial radio host Colin Cowherd was a former Eastern Washington student. He was a fixture on ESPN radio and television throughout most of the last 2 decades. We also would be remiss if we didn't mention former Big Sky Conference staff member Arnie Scalio, who spent almost 20 years at ESPN regional offices in Charlotte as an executive. I was speaking to Arnie the other day, and he reminded me that a Big Sky Conference football game was one of the first live college games to air on ESPN. That's right. In 1980, ESPN went to Flagstaff for its homecoming game against Idaho State. Arnie had some great memories of that game, and it was fun hearing about them. Throughout the years, Big Sky Conference teams have been featured on ESPN during the FCS playoffs. Who can forget the 2010 Eastern Washington game against Delaware when the Eagles rallied from a 19-0 deficit to win their first national championship? Montana's national titles in 1995 and 2001 also aired on ESPN. And who can forget the 2009 semifinal game on a Friday night from Washington Grizzly Stadium when the Grizzlies beat Armani Edwards and Appalachian State. At the time, it was one of the highest rated FCS games in history. Man, that was a great night. If you remember the snow coming down in Missoula, 25,000 fans, it was definitely a highlight in our history with ESPN. For more than 30 years, ESPN has telecast our Big Sky Conference men's championship game. The one that always comes to mind there is in 2010, with Bob Valvano on the call, the brother of the late, great Jim Valvano. Weber State led Montana by 20 points at halftime, and it looked like a freshman named Damian Lillard was going to lead the Wildcats to the NCAA tournament. A senior from Montana named Anthony Johnson had other ideas. Johnson exploded for 36 of his 42 points in the second half to lead an amazing comeback for Montana. Anthony Johnson was actually nominated for an ESPY award for that performance. We've also had many of our women's basketball teams play in the NCAA Basketball Championship on ESPN. Another highlight came in 1989. This was in the early days of Thursday night college football on ESPN. ESPN went to Moscow, Idaho, and the Kibbe Dome to watch John Freeze and the Vandals beat the Montana Grizzlies. So, we have a tremendous history with the Big Sky Conference, but we are so excited to create so many more. Remember that more than 600 of our events will be moving to ESPN Plus, so please check that out in the fall when football, soccer, and volleyball get started. Thanks for watching this edition of Classics with Kasper. We'll see you next time.